in order to understand, an organization to understand where it's going, it needs to really take a look back in terms of why it started and where it's been. And that's what we did. The 2010 officers kind of came together and said, you know, NOACC has been around, as you can see, as you'll see, for 15 years. Let's just figure out, you know, where we're going to go in the future. And in order to do that, we need some input from those who are NOACC's customers, and that's us as chamber leaders. I mean, we are the customer of NOACC, so let's come to you and ask you, you know, some information about that. So let's talk about how NOACC started. Actually, in the early 90s, in 1991, there was a collaboration of chambers to come together and just talk about current issues and what's going on. Now, that's nothing new. I don't care what area you're from throughout Northeast Ohio, you're probably either talking to another chamber, your neighboring chamber, whatever, saying, hey, you know, what can we do together to work together? Well, that happened in a more formal way in 1991. In 1992, you can see there was a collaboration between Euclid, Beechwood, and Solon to put these satellite series together. And really, that was the first effort on the east side for chambers to get together and say, we're going to put on events, we're going to split the cost, and we're going to split the revenue, and if there's a loss, we're going to split the loss. And no chamber likes to put on any event, you know, and face a potential loss. I mean, our budgets aren't big enough, and we certainly have a tough time relying on our neighboring chambers to pull their weight too. So that was a real big effort to come together and do that. But it was very successful. In 1992, our chamber, Beechwood Chamber, actually approached Master Benefits, and Bill Ryan's here, who was a lead for that and our important contact for us, to just develop tangible benefits for our members. We, you know, just like you, every day we say, what can we offer our members to give them a competitive advantage in the marketplace, as well as to give our chamber a competitive advantage in the marketplace? You know, give them a value for joining our chamber. So we talked to Master Benefits about that. Well, they went and did some work, and it was regarding health care, and they came back with a program with Community Mutual Blue Cross and Blue Shield, which offered discounted rates to those Beechwood Chamber members, plain and simple. And it was a, you know, 3 to 4% or whatever the number was at the time. I can't remember at the time. It's changed. It's gotten better every year, actually. But it was a discounted rate to those who were a member of the Beechwood Chamber of Commerce. Well, the Beechwood Chamber of Commerce grew because of that. I mean, it was a real value. We all know the cost of health care right now. We know 1, 2, 3% on any plan is well worth the actual cost of your membership, in a sense. So that plan started to grow. Well, the other chambers around us started to take a look at this and said, wow, everyone's kind of flocking over to this Beechwood Chamber. You know, can we be a part of this program as well? And we said, absolutely, because we want to make sure that this thing grows, because if it grows, it's going to be better for everybody. Okay? So we pulled together with some other chambers, and 8 chambers actually. I'm sorry, there's that was when the 8 chambers, came together to really adopt this program and really started to go out and get it into the market. That was primarily on the east side. Then those same 8 chambers said, well, we got this great healthcare program. What else can we offer in terms of workers' comp? So what else is a big need for our members where they need big buying power? And one of those was actually our workers' compensation program, which we all are very well aware of now. And CRM was actually approached along with other providers, and they came to the table and offered a program for a workers' comp program for those 8. So obviously now we had something. We had general interest from multiple chambers. We had something that offered a benefit to our members, giving them a discount, and it gave them a reason to join their local chamber of commerce other than the local networking and those things. So in 1995, Beechwood, Euclid, and Solon incorporated NOACC, and that's how it all started right there. Okay? How many people knew that? I know some people know the history. Okay, all right. It's interesting. I mean, it's interesting. So it started out of a collaboration of chambers. Okay, now, what has NOACC become over time, and what was our mission, and where is it now? NOACC is actually a partnership of over 120 chambers of commerce to come together. But I think what's interesting here is it services over 35,000 member businesses, you know, over 30,000 for sure. But take a look at the mission. Our mission is to harness the power of the NOACC Chamber Partnership to provide benefits and resources that the individual business or chamber will be unable to obtain on their own. That's it in a nutshell. That's why we exist, and that's why we're created. So that's why the officers kind of came back and said, well, every organization has to start with this mission statement, period. I mean, this is why you were created, and go back to see what you should do going forward, and you always go back to your roots in a sense, and that's our roots. It's to come together as a group, to bring our power together, our buying power together, our group together, to make sure that we provide discount benefits to our members of the chamber to give them an advantage in the marketplace. And that's it in a nutshell. Okay. So I want to give you an idea of the profile of NOACC as it is today. And this was very interesting, actually. I, quite frankly, was pretty excited at the same time, pretty surprised by it. NOACC is made up of, let's just say we're talking about 124 members. Actually, we have 127 today, thanks to the 3 new ones that joined us, but 124 members. Out of that 124 members, less than 100 of those 38 of those member chambers have less than 100 members in their chamber, okay? And that's about 31% of our number. So 31% of the NOACC membership has less than 100 members in their chamber. 32 chambers have anywhere between 100 to 200, and that represents about 26%. 36 have between 200 to 400, and that represents 29%. Now, what's interesting is those chambers, those what we would consider larger chambers, there's 14 chambers that have between 400 and 700 members in their chambers. Only 14 in NOACC out of the 124. And there's only 4 that have over 700 members in their chamber. So when you really think about this, and this is what was very interesting to us, if you take those top 3 numbers, from 0 to 400 members, that represents 86% of NOACC. 86% of our membership in NOACC is under 400 members. Now, it's interesting because the squeaky wheels are usually the bigger ones. The bigger ones, quite frankly. We were one of them, and that's the reality of it because they're bigger, they're more influence, et cetera. But the power, 86% of our membership have less than 400 members in their Chamber of Commerce. So it was interesting information, but one thing we kind of really understood was, wow, it's going to be very challenging to figure out where do we go from here because, it's such a diverse group, just like our own memberships. I mean, think about our own memberships. How many of us have, those Fortune 500 companies that are represented, those mid-tier companies that have a presence in your chamber, the owner may come to meetings, et cetera, and then the person working out of their home where they need to do business or they don't keep their lights on. Well, we all have that broad scale, and we're all trying to provide a product for them to meet their needs. Same with NOACC. So it's real interesting. Okay. Now, where did we evolve to in terms of vendors? I'm not going to go through all of them, but over the course of time, from 1992-3, when we started off with this healthcare program, Anthem program, all the way through today, we have, as you can see, grown our benefits to the members. Now, in terms of acceptance of these, in terms of use of these, in terms of needs of these, they've changed over the course of time. One of the biggest things that NOACC hears all the time, and I say it as well, is that I can't promote a company where they're not a member of my chamber, or certainly where I have members of my chamber who are in that business. I just can't do that. And we understand that. All right, we understand that. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But this is our current makeup right now.